On a Tuesday in February of 2014, at 1:45 p.m., at the age of 36, I became a mother for the first time, and my daughter became my daughter. We named her Zelda June. She was born via cesarean section in a scheduled, quick, and largely drama-free operation that lasted roughly a half hour from start to finish. I wouldn't exactly say it was painless, but it was close enough to painless that I still have trouble telling other women who have had children about the experience for fear that I will sound as though I'm bragging. She has a high tolerance for pain. My husband, Josh, has interjected when I mention my easy recovery. As I sit here now, I can barely feel the scar she left on me. It is barely visible when I look at my body in the mirror. Those moments there, when Zelda became Zelda and I became her mother, they washed away decades of ambivalence and fear, of random nightmares or missed opportunities and chances walked away from. Washed away were the babies I hadn't had in the face of the one I did. I was, like I said, 36 years old. I'd been married for almost 7 years and had lived in New York City for 9. I put off the pregnancy for as long as I could, telling myself I was too busy. There would be time later. But later was always later. And really, I was afraid. Physically, emotionally, mentally, I feared pregnancy and motherhood. I didn't think too hard about it. And every 6 months or a year, Josh randomly brought it up and then just as quickly let it pass. "Should we have a baby, Laura?" I'd hear from the other room. "What do you want for dinner?" I'd ask, changing the subject. We'd talked about kids when we got engaged, when we got married. "Yes," I'd say. "I'd like to have kids someday." Someday was often the future. Someday I could handle. But someday was stretched out for years as I put it off. But then, in the middle of 2013, I changed my mind. Someday arrived. I could tell you that I was finally comfortable enough, finally felt financially stable enough, owned a house that had a spare bedroom. All of these things took years to fall into place. But really, I was also rather suddenly overcome with an everyday, very common desire. I wanted to be a mother, and I knew that it might take a while to become pregnant. At 35, I thought, well, better start trying, I guess. And then I got pregnant almost immediately. I confirmed my pregnancy with a test on my 36th birthday, and as I stood in the bathroom with only a few moments before I opened the door and told my husband, I cried silently in the dark into a towel. I had only just decided less than a month ago that I wanted to have a baby, and now there I was, the wheels set in motion. The first step had been a success. I was pregnant. But still, I cried tears of cowardice, of anxiety, and of simple disbelief. Telling Josh, I knew, would set off the chain of events that would end in, well, the birth of a baby. I closed my eyes and breathed really deep. I reached behind me and hit the light switch. The bathroom was small, in the center of the second floor of our tiny, it was just 11.5 feet wide, Brooklyn townhouse. I loved that bathroom, its claw-footed tub, but also the fact that it had no windows. When you turned off the light, you were in total darkness and quiet. It was the only place in the house where that was possible. I screamed into a towel. I didn't know how to feel. I'd spent so long avoiding even thinking about if I wanted to have children, and then, after years of doing the same thing, I stopped. We decided. Yes, I said. I think we should have a baby. We had made every major decision that way. I said no by avoiding saying anything until I said yes. It is in this way that I am, I guess, in control. I hold the yes cards. Change has always been hard for me, and though I moved through this phase, the pregnant but in denial stage, very quickly, in just a few days, I'd be lying if I pretended it didn't happen. One of the things that had occurred in the course of our marriage was that, like I said, every so often, Josh had brought up the possibility of having children. He said this, "Should we have a baby?" as easily as if he were asking if I thought we should get a new couch or some other major but not life-altering purchase. For him, it wasn't much different than leasing a car, really. Changes, even big ones, come fast and easy to him. This offsets, to some degree, me, to whom change comes neither easily nor quickly.